The morning sun of Aurelia Prime cast long shadows over the tall silver towers of New Horizons City. The city, a shining jewel of human achievement, glittered under the twin suns, humming with life. Hovercars zipped between the towers. Children played in floating parks, and scientists rushed from one laboratory to another, carrying their notes and ideas. Aurelia Prime had been a beacon of hope for humanity, a colony where people could build, explore, and dream. Yet on this morning, a shadow would fall that would shake the entire galaxy. In the orbit above the planet, the Varathi fleet loomed like a dark storm cloud. Unlike humans, the Varathi were tall, skeletal beings with eyes that glowed like molten metal. Their ships were black, angular, and almost organic in design, pulsating with a rhythm that made even veteran space commanders uneasy. No human had ever stood against them and lived to tell the tale, until now. Deep in the heart of the city, 4 human scientists, Dr. Liana Voss, an engineer specializing in energy shields, Dr. Aidan Mercer, a biologist studying alien life, Dr. Reena Chaudhry, an AI expert, and Dr. Elias Hart, a physicist working on propulsion systems, were taken from their labs before they even had a chance to react. The Varathi had struck without warning, teleporting their captives aboard the command ship in orbit. The Varathi commander, a cold and calculated being named Veyrak, smiled without emotion as he prepared his public broadcast. Humanity was a stubborn, unpredictable species, he thought, but it lacked the discipline of the Varathi. Let them see their leaders fall, he said in a voice that sounded like grinding metal. Let them feel fear. Let them know resistance is useless. On every human colony, screens flickered to life. The broadcast began with silence. Then the 4 scientists appeared, suspended in a metallic cage high above the Varathi ship's deck. Behind them, the endless void of space stretched like a black ocean. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the Varathi voice boomed, introducing the 4 humans as symbols of rebellion and declaring them criminals of the galaxy. The act itself was horrifying. The Varathi executed the scientists one by one, leaving the cameras trained on each moment. But it wasn't just the violence that shocked humanity. It was the deliberate humiliation, the public display meant to crush their spirit. On Earth, people froze in their homes, offices, and schools. Families held each other close. Leaders convened emergency meetings, their faces pale under the light of the broadcast. Humanity had faced enemies before, but nothing like this. Nothing that had struck at the heart of what it meant to be human. And yet, as the initial shock passed, something unexpected began to happen. Instead of despair, a wave of anger and determination spread. Humans are survivors, thought Admiral Cale Donovan, commander of the Earth Defense Fleet. Humans adapt, humans fight back, and humans never forget. In the days following the broadcast, humanity began to organize. Governments on Earth and its colonies declared a state of emergency. The emergency councils convened in New Geneva, Mars, Titan, and Luna. Military forces were mobilized. Scientists and engineers were called to assist with war efforts. But this was not a war driven by vengeance alone. It was a war driven by ingenuity. Veyrak thinks he can scare us, Cale said, addressing the council. But he has underestimated something fundamental. Humans do not break. We fight, we adapt. We learn. And we do not forgive easily. The public response was equally powerful. Messages of solidarity flooded communication networks. Citizens built drones, repaired ships, and trained as volunteers. Artists created murals of the 4 fallen scientists, turning their images into symbols of resistance. Children sang songs of courage. Humanity's morale, instead of breaking, had hardened into something almost tangible, a shared purpose that transcended fear. Meanwhile, intelligence agencies worked tirelessly. Hackers probed Varathi networks looking for weaknesses. Scouts charted the alien fleet's movements. Humanity realized something crucial. The Varathi were disciplined, yes, but rigid. They relied on centralized communication and predictable tactics. Where humans were flexible, they were fixed. Where humans were creative, they were logical. Where humans acted with emotion, they also acted with courage. The scientists' deaths became a rallying point. The tragedy united humans across planets, colonies, and space stations. Messages were sent to every corner of human territory. We will not forget. We will not forgive. We will act. Even among the soldiers, a spark ignited. Young cadets who had trained their entire lives for this moment now understood the stakes. Veterans recalled the horrors of previous skirmishes and vowed that humanity would not be intimidated. Every pilot, engineer, and commander felt the weight of the human spirit pressing upon them. In a secret laboratory on Titan, Dr. Mara Singh, a brilliant weapons designer, turned the broadcast into inspiration. "We will show them that humans are not just survivors," she said, tinkering with a small prototype drone. "We are creators. We are fighters, and we will find a way to turn their own technology against them." Even the civilians contributed. Families on New Earth and Ganymede worked together to produce supplies for the fleet. Farmers experimented with biofuels. Engineers modified engines to withstand Varathi pulses. Everyone, from the highest-ranking officials to the youngest child, understood that this was a war of survival, and humanity's response would define the species for generations. And the humans did not act blindly. Strategic plans were drawn with care. Fleets were mobilized not for mindless attack but for precise strikes. Intelligence officers located Varathi command centers and monitored supply routes. Analysts predicted enemy movements based on behavior patterns. Where the Varathi saw chaos, humans saw opportunity. Where the Varathi relied on fear, humans relied on courage. As the first days of mobilization passed, Admiral Donovan gathered his top officers. "We will not fight them as they fight us," he said. "We will not let fear guide our actions. We will be smarter, faster, and more unpredictable. They may have taken our people, but they have not taken our spirit. That is something no alien can ever conquer." The council agreed, and plans began to take shape. The first fleet of human ships would jump to Varathi space. The mission was dangerous, nearly suicidal, but the stakes were too high to hesitate. Every piece of technology, every tactic, every human life was prepared for one purpose: to make the Varathi understand that humanity would never bow. Back on the broadcast screen, Vayrek smiled, unaware that he had ignited a fire he could not extinguish. The galaxy watched, expecting humans to crumble. Instead, humans were building, planning, and preparing. Their grief had been transformed into action. Their fear had been transformed into strategy. Humanity had taken the first step in a war that would be remembered for centuries, not because they were cruel, but because they were unstoppable when united by purpose. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. Humanity's reaction to the Varathi broadcast was swift, organized, and overwhelming. Across countless planets and colonies, humans had mobilized, their grief and anger transformed into an unstoppable force. In the orbital command station above Earth, Admiral Cale Donovan stood before a vast digital map of the Varathi fleet, his sharp eyes scanning every detail. "We are facing an enemy unlike any we have encountered," Kyle said, his voice steady but firm. "They are disciplined, well-equipped, and ruthless, but they have made a mistake. They underestimated us." Around him, commanders, analysts, and engineers nodded. Every officer knew the stakes. This was not just a battle for Aurelia Prime or Earth. It was a fight for the survival of the entire human race. Cale turned to the young lieutenant at his side. "Run the simulations again. I want every possible outcome, every strategy, every contingency. We leave nothing to chance." Across the human colonies, preparations were already underway. On Mars, factories worked around the clock, producing new drones, spacecraft, and weapons. Engineers modified engines, reinforced shields, and upgraded AI systems to react faster than any human hand could. On Luna, young cadets trained tirelessly, learning both conventional combat and guerrilla tactics, preparing for a war that would reach across the stars. Yet it wasn't just weapons and soldiers. Humanity's strength lay in creativity, unpredictability, and the ability to adapt. Scientists, engineers, and even civilians contributed ideas. Algorithms were developed to anticipate Varathi movements. Drones were designed to mimic alien ships, creating confusion in enemy ranks. Even farmers and mechanics provided solutions: biofuels, improvised shielding, and rapid repair systems, turning every human into a contributor to the war effort. In the underground labs of Titan, Dr. Mara Singh oversaw the development of an experimental weapon system. "We can't match their strength directly," she told her team, "but we can outsmart them. Humans have a unique advantage. We think in ways they do not. We improvise, we adapt, we surprise. That is how we win." Her team worked tirelessly, building small drones equipped with adaptive AI capable of disabling enemy shields. Every test brought new insights. Every failure was an opportunity to improve. Singh knew that this war would not be won by brute force alone, but by human ingenuity. Meanwhile, on New Earth, the citizens prepared as much as the military. Families gathered supplies, engineers modified civilian ships for combat readiness, and every person contributed in some way. Even children aware of the human spirit participated by designing simple drones or delivering messages to fleets. Every human understood that this was no longer a distant war, it was personal, and it required collective effort. Admiral Donovan convened a council of the brightest minds on Earth. They analyzed Varathi communication patterns, studying their behavior and predicting their next moves. Intelligence reports indicated that the alien fleet relied on centralized command nodes, making them strong in coordination, but vulnerable to unexpected disruption. This insight became the foundation of humanity's strategy. Strike fast, strike unpredictably, and exploit weaknesses the Varathi could not anticipate. "We are not just fighting to survive," Kale said during one briefing. "We are fighting to prove that humanity cannot be intimidated. Every action we take, every strategy we implement, will show them that humans are not just prey. They are predators in their own right." In the midst of these preparations, a small team of engineers and pilots worked on a daring plan. A strike, deep into Varathi territory to test their defenses and gather intelligence. Commander Alara Voss, a decorated pilot, led the team. "We are the first line of response," she said. "If we succeed, we will show them that humanity does not cower. If we fail, we learn and we return stronger. There is no other option." The fleet that would carry out this mission was a mixture of human ingenuity and improvisation. Old ships retrofitted with advanced AI flew alongside newly constructed vessels bristling with experimental weapons. Every captain was briefed on the importance of unpredictability. Maneuvers that seemed reckless were often calculated to confuse the Varathi. As the first human strike fleet assembled at the jump point near Saturn, tension filled the air. Pilots checked their ships, engineers ran last-minute diagnostics, and medics prepared for casualties. Families waved from observation decks, hoping for the safe return of their loved ones. Humanity's courage, determination, and unity were on full display. The jump to Varathi space was tense but successful. The first strike fleet emerged near a Varathi scouting station, hidden among a cluster of asteroid fields. Commander Voss signaled the fleet to split into two groups, one to engage the station and the other to scout enemy movements. The plan was risky. Failure could mean annihilation, but the potential reward was worth it. The battle began quietly. Drones darted among asteroids, creating false targets. Human ships moved in unpredictable patterns, making it difficult for the Varathi to coordinate their defenses. The experimental AI drones tested their capabilities, successfully disabling parts of the alien station's shield. For the first time, humans could see a weakness in the Varathi's armor. Back on Earth, the live feed of the skirmish brought hope to billions. Humanity had struck first, not with blind rage but with precision and intelligence. The world watched as their soldiers adapted in real time, exploiting weaknesses and turning disadvantages into opportunities. Commander Voss's voice came over the comms, calm but commanding. "Maintain formation. Target the central node. Do not engage unless necessary. This is a test of strategy, not brute force." Her instructions were executed flawlessly. The human fleet disrupted the Varathi station's communication, forcing the aliens to act independently. Confusion spread through the enemy ranks, and the humans seized the opportunity. Small attack teams disabled key systems while avoiding direct confrontation with the larger alien vessels. Every move demonstrated human adaptability, creativity, and courage. In the midst of the battle, a young engineer, Tarek Lin, working remotely from Mars, discovered a method to amplify the drone's signal. "If we boost the output, we can disable their defenses entirely," he said. Within minutes, the drones neutralized a critical shield generator, leaving the station vulnerable. The human strike fleet moved in, capturing valuable intelligence about Varathi technology and strategy. Though the mission was not without risk, several ships were damaged, and a few brave pilots lost their lives. The first strike was a success. Humanity had proved a vital point. The Varathi were not invincible. They could be outsmarted, outmaneuvered, and challenged. Admiral Cale Donovan addressed the fleet upon their return. "You have done more than complete a mission," he said. "You have shown the galaxy that humanity is resourceful, determined, and united. Let this be the beginning of a campaign that will remind everyone, humans do not yield to fear." Across the human colonies, the news of the successful strike spread like wildfire. Celebrations erupted not just for victory but for proof that humans could fight back. Streets filled with cheering citizens, artists painted murals of the pilots, and children recreated the battle in games. Humanity's spirit was unbroken, fueled by the memory of the 4 scientists who had been lost. Their deaths had become the spark of human ingenuity and courage. Even as celebrations continued, the military and scientists understood that this was only the beginning. The Varathi fleet remained vast, powerful, and dangerous. The next battles would test humanity even further. But with every engagement, humans would learn, adapt, and grow stronger. Dr. Mara Singh, reviewing the results of the strike, smiled. "We have proven one thing today," she said. "The Varathi may have technology, discipline, and numbers. But humans have something more powerful: intelligence, creativity, and the will to survive. That is a force no alien can match." As night fell over the human colonies, people looked up at the stars, feeling both fear and hope. The Varathi were out there, waiting, but humanity had begun to fight back. The galaxy had seen their first move, and it would not be their last. For the first time, humans understood that this war would not be won through mere retaliation. It would be won through strategy, intelligence, and the unity of an entire species. The 4 scientists' sacrifice had lit a fire in humanity, and that fire was only growing stronger. The first taste of victory had energized humanity, but Admiral Cale Donovan knew that the real challenge lay ahead. The Varathi were far from defeated. Their fleets were vast, their technology advanced, and their command structure rigid. But humans had learned one essential truth: predictability was their weakness, and adaptability was humanity's strength. In the war room above Earth, Cale studied the holographic map of Varathi territory. Red dots represented enemy ships, black lines indicated supply routes, and clusters of gray showed vulnerable installations. Each piece of information was crucial for the next phase, a large-scale strike aimed at disrupting the Varathi fleet before they could strike back. "We've proven we can hit them," Kyle said to his top officers. "Now we show them that humans are not just survivors, we are strategists, innovators, and fighters." The first strike fleet was a test. The next fleet will be the beginning of a war they cannot control. Meanwhile, on Aurelia Prime, the first signs of organized resistance were spreading. Human engineers had repaired civilian ships, modified weapons, and prepared entire cities for guerrilla tactics in case the Varathi invaded. Civilians trained alongside soldiers, learning to defend, repair, and improvise. Humanity was becoming a unified force, each person contributing in their own way. Commander Alara Voss stood on the deck of the flagship Intrepid, watching the preparations. Pilots and engineers bustled around her, checking systems, reviewing maps, and ensuring their ships were ready for the next jump. She knew the stakes. A failure here could cost thousands of lives, but success would give humanity a decisive advantage. "The Varathi are organized," she said, addressing her officers. "They expect us to act predictably. We will not. Every maneuver, every strike will be calculated to confuse, disrupt, and weaken them. Remember, creativity is our weapon." The fleet's jump through hyperspace was tense. Each ship vibrated as it entered the corridor, lights flickering, engines humming in harmony. In the silence of space, only the sound of hearts pounding echoed within the human crews. They were heading deep into Varathi territory, where few humans had ever dared to go. The first target was a Varathi communication relay station located near a cluster of icy asteroids. Intelligence suggested that this station coordinated several smaller fleets. If humans could disable it, the enemy would be forced to act independently, making them vulnerable to further attacks. As the human fleet approached, Scanners detected the station's defenses: energy shields, automated turrets, and patrol drones. The Varathi expected a direct assault. They did not anticipate the unconventional tactics humans had prepared. Commander Voss signaled the fleet to split into 3 groups. One group would create decoys, mimicking a full-scale frontal assault. Another would flank the station through hidden asteroid paths. The third, a small elite team, would infiltrate and disable the central command node. The plan was risky, but the humans had learned that risk often led to opportunity. The decoy group advanced first. Ships glided along the main approach, firing laser bursts and launching drones to draw enemy attention. The Varathi responded immediately, their turrets tracking the targets, their energy shields flaring. But while the Varathi focused on the decoys, the flanking group moved silently among the asteroids, using their small size and agility to avoid detection. Inside the flanking team's lead ship, Lieutenant Aaron Cole guided the vessel with precision. "Hold steady. Watch for patrol drones. Wait for the signal." His voice was calm, but every muscle was tense. Humanity had never been here before, and every second counted. Meanwhile, the elite infiltration team prepared for the most dangerous part of the mission. Small ships equipped with advanced AI and hacking devices were ready to breach the station's defenses. The humans' advantage lay in unpredictability. The Varathi had no defense against an attack that combined stealth, technology, and human ingenuity. The infiltration team moved first, slipping past automated turrets using a combination of stealth thrusters and electromagnetic pulses. Inside the station, the humans deployed hacking drones which began overriding the central command node's systems. Alarms sounded, but the drones adapted quickly, anticipating countermeasures. Back outside, the flanking team engaged a patrol fleet. Using unconventional maneuvers, they drew the enemy ships away from the station, creating openings for the infiltration team. Humans adapted in real time, analyzing enemy movements and responding instantly. The Varathi, for all their discipline, struggled to adjust. Inside the station, the elite team faced a new challenge. The command node was protected by an energy field designed to neutralize intruders. Dr. Reena Chaudhry, working remotely from Mars, guided the team through a complex sequence to bypass the defenses. "Think like them," she instructed. "Predict their logic, then do the opposite. Humans win when we are unpredictable." The command node's defenses faltered. One by one, systems went offline. The station's shields collapsed, leaving it vulnerable to human attack. The infiltration team transmitted the data they had collected: schematics of Varathi ships, patrol patterns, and weak points. Humanity now had intelligence that could shift the balance of power. Outside, the decoy and flanking groups executed coordinated attacks, disabling turrets and intercepting reinforcements. The battle was fierce but precise. Every move demonstrated the strengths of humanity: intelligence, courage, and adaptability. The Varathi were strong, but humans were relentless. The battle reached its climax when a Varathi flagship attempted to intervene. The humans had anticipated this. Using the asteroid field for cover, they launched a surprise attack from an unexpected angle. Missiles, drones, and laser strikes combined with hacking attempts to disable the flagship's systems. Within minutes, the vessel was incapacitated, forcing the rest of the enemy fleet to retreat. Commander Voss watched the results on the monitor. "We've done it," she said softly. "We've taken the first major step." Her voice carried both relief and pride. Humanity had struck a decisive blow, not by brute force alone, but through strategy, adaptability, and unity. Admiral Donovan's voice came over the comms. "Excellent work, fleet. Today we have shown the Varathi that humans cannot be predicted or controlled. The 4 scientists' sacrifice was not in vain. Humanity has begun to fight back in a way that no alien force can ignore." Across the colonies, the news of the successful strike spread rapidly. Humans celebrated, not just for the victory, but for the proof that they could fight back. Citizens poured into the streets cheering for pilots, engineers, and soldiers. Murals of the 4 scientists were painted alongside images of the fleet's heroes, symbolizing both sacrifice and courage. But humans did not become complacent. They understood that the Varathi would retaliate. Every victory brought new challenges, and the humans had to remain vigilant, learning from each engagement and improving their strategies. The first strike was a lesson in both hope and preparation. Dr. Mara Singh reviewed the battle data with her team. "We have confirmed a critical point," she said. The Varathi rely on centralized communication and rigid tactics. This is our advantage. We will continue to strike where they are weakest, adapt faster than they can respond, and remain unpredictable. Even as humanity celebrated, they prepared for the next phase. Engineers upgraded ships, scientists analyzed intelligence, and military planners developed strategies for larger engagements. Every human, from pilots to civilians, contributed in some way. The war was becoming a collective effort, showcasing the full strength of human unity and ingenuity. In the distance, Veyrak observed the human fleet's retreat. For the first time, he felt unease. Humans were not just unpredictable, they were relentless. Their creativity, courage, and unity made them a species unlike any other. The Varathi had expected fear and submission, but what they saw instead was a calculated, determined enemy that refused to be defeated. And somewhere on Aurelia Prime, children looked up at the stars and whispered the names of the fallen scientists. Liana, Aiden, Rena, Elias. They had sparked something far greater than themselves. Their deaths had ignited humanity's fire, and that fire was now spreading across the galaxy. Admiral Donovan addressed his officers one final time before the fleet returned to human space. Today, humanity has taken its first true strike against the Varathi. We have proven that intelligence, strategy, and unity can defeat even the most disciplined enemy. Remember this, humans are not easily broken. We adapt, we fight, and we endure. The galaxy will learn this lesson well. The first strike had ended, but the war was far from over. Humanity had proven that it could challenge the Varathi, and the Varathi had learned that humans were far more dangerous than they had imagined. The next battles would be larger, more intense, and more dangerous, but humans were ready. They had discovered the power of their unity, their creativity, and their courage, and they would continue to fight. Not for revenge alone, but for survival, freedom, and the memory of those who had been lost. As the human fleet jumped back into human-controlled space, a new determination settled over every planet, colony, and space station. Humanity had begun its fight, and it would not stop until the Varathi had learned the full extent of human strength. The galaxy had witnessed the first true human strike, and the message was clear: humanity was unpredictable, adaptable. The galaxy had begun to notice a pattern. Wherever humans appeared, chaos followed, but not the mindless chaos of panic or destruction. It was organized chaos, a blend of intelligence, creativity, and relentless courage. The Varathi, who had once believed themselves untouchable, were starting to doubt. Admiral Cale Donovan stood in the war room aboard the Earth Command Station, watching the latest reports from Aurelia Prime and other human colonies. The Varathi had responded to humanity's first strike with their usual predictability: reinforcements, rigid patrol patterns, and centralized coordination. But humans had anticipated this. "We strike where they are weakest," Cale said, addressing his top officers. "We do not fight them where they are strongest. We adapt, we surprise, and we outthink them. The Varathi will learn that humans do not follow their rules, they make their own." The next phase of the campaign was underway. Humanity's fleet, now larger and better equipped, moved into Varathi-controlled space. Ships hummed with energy. AI systems analyzed every possible enemy move, and drones were deployed to scout ahead. Every human crew member knew their mission: strike quickly, gather intelligence, and return to fight again. On Aurelia Prime, civilians continued their role in the war effort. Engineers repaired and upgraded ships, while children and adults alike participated in simulations to predict enemy behavior. Humanity had become a species united by purpose. Every person contributed, whether through invention, strategy, or courage. Commander Ilara Voss led a strike team to target a Varathi shipyard orbiting the ice planet Cryon 5. Intelligence reports indicated the yard was producing new ships at a rapid pace. Destroying it would significantly weaken enemy reinforcements. "This will be a surgical strike," Voss explained to her team. "We avoid unnecessary destruction, but we hit precisely where it counts. The Varathi expect us to act blindly, but we do not. Every move we make is calculated, every action deliberate. That is our advantage." The strike team approached the yard under the cover of a dense asteroid field. Using small, fast ships and decoy drones, they evaded enemy patrols. Drones equipped with advanced AI moved ahead, disrupting sensors and communications. When the humans struck, the Varathi were caught off guard. Turrets misfired, patrols collided, and the shipyard's defenses failed to coordinate effectively. Inside the yard, human boarding teams deployed. Engineers and pilots worked together, sabotaging production lines and disabling control systems. No lives were taken unnecessarily, but the human team ensured the yard could no longer produce functional ships. The operation was precise, demonstrating humanity's combination of ruthlessness and strategy, not cruelty. Meanwhile, on Mars, Dr. Mara Singh and her team analyzed the data collected from previous strikes. "We have confirmed a pattern," she said. "The Varathi rely on centralized command and cannot adapt quickly. This is the key to our strategy. If we disrupt their communications, we disrupt their entire operation." The humans decided to take the psychological aspect of war into account as well. Broadcasts were sent across Varathi-occupied space. Messages highlighted the failures of the alien fleet, showcased the ingenuity and courage of humans, and mocked the predictability of Varathi tactics. Humans were not just fighting ships, they were fighting fear and morale. Varathi officers, once confident, now questioned their leadership. Rumors of human unpredictability spread through their ranks. Soldiers hesitated to follow orders, unsure if their strategies could withstand the clever tactics humans employed. The humans had learned a vital lesson. War was not only fought in space, but in the minds of the enemy. The next target was a Varathi supply convoy, moving between two occupied colonies. This convoy carried critical fuel, weapons, and supplies. If humanity could intercept it, they could cripple enemy operations for weeks, Commander. Voss led a mixed team of strike ships and stealth drones to intercept the convoy near the gas giant Virex 9. Using advanced sensors and knowledge of gravitational currents, the team approached undetected. The humans deployed a clever strategy. Drones mimicked convoy ships, drawing enemy escorts away, while stealth ships struck at the most valuable cargo. The operation was a success. Supplies were captured or destroyed, significantly weakening Varathi logistics. Every human crew member played a role, from pilots to engineers to remote strategists guiding the drones from colonies. This battle reinforced one of humanity's greatest strengths: collaboration across distances and disciplines. Meanwhile, intelligence reports indicated that Varathi leadership was becoming desperate. The centralized command structure they relied on had become a liability. In one bold move, humans planned a coordinated strike on 3 separate Varathi command posts simultaneously. The goal was not only to disrupt communication, but to force the Varathi to make mistakes under pressure. The synchronized strikes were executed flawlessly. Drones disabled shields, AI systems hacked communications, and human strike teams disabled key installations. Varathi fleets attempted to respond but were misdirected and confused. Humanity's multi-pronged attack demonstrated not just strength, but intelligence, planning, and unity. In the midst of these operations, civilians continued to contribute. Engineers developed improved shield technology, medics prepared for potential casualties, and families supported the war effort with logistics and supplies. Every individual was part of a greater whole, demonstrating the HFY principle. Humans were strongest when working together. On the front lines, Commander Voss reflected on the progress. "We have turned the tables," she told her team. "The Varathi expect fear, but they see determination. They expect chaos, but they see strategy. They expect submission, but they see courage. Humanity's answer is ruthless, but not in cruelty. Our ruthlessness lies in precision, intelligence, and unity." Admiral Donovan reviewed the results of the strikes with satisfaction. "Every operation proves one thing," he said. "Humans are not easily defeated. Our adaptability, creativity, and will to survive make us unpredictable and dangerous. The Varathi cannot control a species that refuses to follow their rules." Even as victories mounted, humans remained vigilant. The Varathi had resources, technology, and numbers. Each success came with the understanding that the next challenge would be harder. Humanity's leaders and citizens alike knew that strategy, preparation, and collaboration would continue to be their greatest weapons. Back in Varathi space, Commander Veyrak grew increasingly frustrated. The humans did not fight like any species he had encountered. Their actions were clever, deliberate, and coordinated across vast distances. Morale among his troops was falling. For the first time, he realized that this war might not be won by brute strength alone. Humans were a threat because of their mind, their unity, and their spirit. Meanwhile, humanity celebrated, but not in a reckless way. The victories were proof of what could be accomplished when humans worked together, adapted to the enemy, and never lost focus. Across planets, colonies, and space stations, people shared stories of courage, ingenuity, and sacrifice. Children learned about the strategies and bravery of those who fought. Engineers and scientists pushed their inventions further. Humanity was learning, growing, and improving with each encounter. As the sun set over Earth, Mars, and the outer colonies, a shared sense of purpose united the species. Humans were no longer just survivors, they were strategists, innovators, and a force to be reckoned with. The 4 scientists who had been executed at the beginning of the war had sparked a fire that now burned across the galaxy. Humanity's ruthlessness was calculated, intelligent, and unstoppable. The galaxy held its breath. Humanity had already proven it could strike with intelligence, precision, and creativity, but now it was time to finish what it had begun. The Varathi, once confident in their supremacy, were losing ground, morale, and control. Their centralized command could not keep up with the relentless ingenuity of human tactics. Admiral Cale Donovan stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Dawn, surveying the assembled fleet. Ships from Earth, Mars, Luna, and Aurelia Prime glimmered under the starlight, a dazzling display of humanity's combined strength. The crews, seasoned from previous engagements, worked with calm efficiency, knowing the fate of countless colonies rested on their actions. "We move today not just to fight, but to liberate," Cale said, addressing his officers. "Every system we take, every enemy ship we disable is a message. Humanity does not yield. We are united, intelligent, and relentless. Our enemies will learn this the hard way." The first target was a Varathi stronghold orbiting the planet Nerion 4, a key supply hub for enemy operations in human-occupied sectors. Intelligence had revealed weaknesses in the shield generators, patrol routes, and communication relays. Using this data, humans devised a multi-layered attack combining space combat, sabotage, and psychological tactics. Commander Ilara Voss led the 1st Strike Division. Her fleet approached the stronghold from 3 angles, using asteroid belts for cover and deploying decoy drones to confuse the enemy. The Varathi scrambled, firing shields and lasers in chaotic bursts, but their responses were slow and disorganized. Humans had anticipated this. Inside the station, boarding teams moved with precision. Engineers sabotaged shield generators while medics and support crews prepared for any wounded. Every move was coordinated across light years, guided by AI and human strategists working together. The humans struck decisively, ensuring the station's defenses would never recover. Meanwhile, civilians in occupied colonies played their part. Communications specialists hacked supply lines, resource managers redirected fuel and munitions, and engineers retrofitted local ships to join the fight. Humans were proving that unity across planets was as powerful as any fleet. As the battle raged, psychological warfare amplified its effects. Human broadcasts reached the Varathi soldiers, showing their failures, highlighting the humans' resourcefulness, and emphasizing that surrender was not the only option. They could join a species that thrived on ingenuity, courage, and collaboration. Confusion and doubt spread like wildfire through the Varathi ranks. In orbit above the stronghold, Veyrak's flagship tried to coordinate a counterattack. But the humans had anticipated this move. Decoy ships lured the flagship into an ambush, while stealth drones disabled its communication systems. Within moments, the flagship's weapons were offline, and its crew faced the inevitable: capture or destruction. Commander Voss signaled the fleet. "Now!" The human ships converged, striking key points with precision. Varathi defenses crumbled, and the stronghold fell. Humans had liberated thousands of occupied colonies in the process, freeing civilians who had endured years of oppression. The victory was not achieved through mindless slaughter. Human forces spared civilians, minimized destruction where possible, and demonstrated that ruthlessness could coexist with morality. The humans had learned a crucial lesson from the tragedy of the 4 scientists. Vengeance alone does not define a species. Intelligence, courage, and unity do. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted. People cheered, hugged, and wept, not only for the victory but for the liberation of their brothers and sisters across the galaxy. Murals and monuments honored both the fallen and the living, particularly the 4 scientists whose deaths had sparked humanity's unstoppable response. Dr. Mara Singh oversaw the analysis of captured Varathi technology. They underestimated us because they could not imagine a species that adapts and collaborates across distances, she said. Humans fight differently. We think, we plan, and we unite. That is our greatest weapon. The war was not yet over, but the tide had shifted irrevocably. Varathi leaders, seeing the collapse of their strongholds, began to retreat and surrender. Ships that had once inspired fear were now abandoned or captured. The humans had demonstrated not just strength, but intelligence, strategy, and moral courage. Commander Voss reflected on the journey. From the first strike fleet to the liberation of Narion IV, humanity had proven something far greater than military might. They had shown that a species driven by purpose, unity, and creativity could overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. Across the galaxy, humans rebuilt what had been destroyed. Cities, colonies, and trade routes were restored. Education programs spread stories of courage and innovation. Engineers refined ships, scientists improved technology, and civilians continued to support recovery efforts. Humanity had learned that its strength lay not only in battle but in the ability to rebuild and improve. Admiral Donovan addressed the fleet in a final message. Today, humanity has shown the galaxy what we are capable of. We have avenged the fallen, liberated the oppressed, and proven that our species is clever, courageous, and united. Let this be remembered. Humans do not break. Humans do not yield, and humans endure. The galaxy will know the name of our species not for fear, but for respect. In the following months, humanity solidified its presence in previously occupied systems. Alliances were formed with other species who had observed the humans' ingenuity and moral approach to warfare. The galaxy came to recognize humanity as a species of remarkable intelligence, creativity, and courage, a species that thrived not only in survival but in adaptation, strategy, and collaboration. Even the youngest citizens learned the lessons of the war. Children studied the campaigns of Commander Voss, the strategies of Admiral Donovan, and the sacrifices of the 4 scientists. Stories were told in schools, books were written, and simulations trained new generations to think, adapt, and collaborate. Humanity had created not just a military legacy but a cultural one. Meanwhile, Commander Veyrak and the remaining Varathi leadership retreated to distant sectors. They carried with them a profound realization. Humans were unlike any species they had ever encountered. Unpredictable, relentless, and united, humanity had turned tragedy into triumph and had forged a new place in the galaxy. On Aurelia Prime, the memory of the 4 scientists was immortalized. Statues, plaques, and memorials celebrated their courage, not only for their scientific contributions but for the inspiration their sacrifice had sparked. Liana, Aiden, Rena, and Elias became symbols of what it meant to be human. Brave, intelligent, and resilient Dr. Mara Singh, reflecting on the war, summarized the human achievement succinctly. We have won not because we were stronger in numbers or technology, but because we were smarter, braver, and united. Humanity's strength is not just in what we can destroy, but in what we can create, adapt, and protect. That is our true power. As the sun rose over Earth, Mars, Aurelia Prime, and countless other human colonies, people looked to the stars with pride and hope. The galaxy had seen humanity's courage, ingenuity, and unity. The Varathi had learned the hard way that humans were not a species to be underestimated. Humanity's war had ended, but its legacy had just begun. Across planets, people continued to innovate, explore, and collaborate, inspired by the knowledge that their species could overcome even the greatest of challenges. The story of the 4 scientists and the humans' ruthless, intelligent response became legend, a tale that would inspire generations to come. In the quiet moments, Admiral Cale Donovan reflected on what had been accomplished. Humanity had faced horror, tragedy, and a powerful enemy, and yet, through intelligence, strategy, and unity, it had emerged victorious. The galaxy had witnessed the full measure of human potential, and the humans themselves knew one undeniable truth. No matter the enemy, no matter the odds, humanity would endure. Humanity would adapt. Humanity would prevail.